welcome to Daily Spark TV. Today we are talking about Black men in America with our guest, Irwin Brown. Hello, Irwin. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Let me tell you a little bit more about Irwin. He was born in Waco, Texas, and he believes that his life platform and experiences, as well as spiritual insights, help others live their best life. He believes that human beings, full of nuances, and though we are complicated, we have a simple reason why we do what we do. There are physical reasons, there are spiritual reasons, but most importantly, there are spiritual stimuli. Well, Irwin feels that all people, regardless of race, regardless of nationality or gender, should find common ground spiritually to be one of God's soldiers. Well, Irwin is also the author of From Prayers to Players, the Despiritualization of Black Men in America. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, I believe that in order for people to have great communication, that we need to have certain basic understandings of certain words. So when we talk about Black men in America or Black people in general, who are we talking about?
I am specifically talking about Black men. There are some things in our nature that don't belong. I think we have misinterpreted manhood, and we live it more out of the physical realm as opposed to the spiritual realm, as God intended. And I think it's causing problems. You know, we react to spiritual stimuli with physical violence. You know, things that can be overlooked. But due to the lies that we've been told, it's unmanly to turn the other cheek. It's unmanly to walk away, and these lies have played havoc in the Black community, and with Black people in particular.
And I think that regardless of what your ethnicity is, I think that men as a whole can definitely nod their head and say, yeah, we were taught to not do this, but instead do that.
Exactly.
And I think people can really agree with you on that one. Well, does where you live within the continental United States, does where you live play a part of understanding how you interact with others or the way that you choose not to interact with others?
No, actually, I see this as a nationwide situation. Although I said, that it was Black men in America, actually it's a worldwide deal. One of the reasons why I wrote the book, I was inspired, is because I kept hearing people say Black people are hated all over the world. Now, there's no evidence of that, but that was one of the reasons why I wrote it, because I already had some things in my mind about Black people, particularly the Black men, that were in the spiritual realm, that I felt like we could do better, And I just feel like a lot of things that we the way we feel about things, the answers are within. We're sitting on a mountain of wisdom, but because of our distractions, we don't see it. So.
Now, there's a great word there, distraction. For someone who's definitely nodding their head saying, yes, we do need to step back sometimes from our physical reaction to things that are our spiritual stimuli. What are some distractions that you have found in your research that men, and Black men in particular, are saying, this is a distraction for me?
We are looking for significance outside of God instead of within ourselves. So, and when I say significance, one of the things I'm looking at is reputation. We want to be known for something in our communities. It doesn't have to be positive, it could be something negative. But we have to have something that we can hang our hats on to say, this is who I am. Get accolades from our peers, get accolades from society. The other thing is, over the past 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of movies that has glamorized an adverse lifestyle. And we're hanging our hats on that. This is the way we should react. If you don't have any information that runs counter to that, then that's what you'll use. Just basically, this is what I saw in the movie. This is what I saw my peers do. This is what my big brother said. So we have to have something. We have to have an alternate route.
You're definitely saying a mouthful there because, as a pastoral counselor, we deal with, especially when we're talking about young adults and parents come in and they're saying, my teen is acting out. And sometimes that person simply wants attention.
Yes.
And they'll even take the negative attention. But when you were saying that, it made me think of, I've heard so many young people, and including some of the music, even acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah.
They're giving, even though it's negative, they're still giving me attention.
Yes.
And I want for you to see me for who I am. And if that means that I have to do something outside of the norms, in order for you to acknowledge me, I'm willing to do that.
Exactly.
And for me, I hear that and go, wow, that's so profound. And instead of looking at that comment as being negative, we should actually understand that to be exactly what it is, as a reflection of what's going on in the culture today. Thank you for that. Now, would you say that socioeconomics plays a part in how our youth are perceived, how men, as being an adult, is perceived, as well as even when they become seniors?
There is pressure on men to be successful. People look at you and they associate your manhood with your income.
That's true.
Fair or unfair. So it's no wonder why people, and men in particular, feel pressured to go out and do something, to work hard, to get a lot of money. One of the things I think that a lot of black men are doing is they're actually comparing themselves to multimillionaires. They're comparing themselves to entertainers, athletes. And if a guy is making $10 million a year and there's a young man that's hustling to make ends meet, how do you think he's going to feel?
Yeah.
So I just think that we have to have small beginnings, start from someplace. Don't worry about what society is thinking. Black people have I put it this way, we tend to call each other broke, or you don't have anything. And by the way, this comes from people who are doing absolutely nothing with their lives. And there are people who are out there, they're trying something. They're not sitting around idling, and so there's pressure. But I think once a man finds his niche, or once he finds who he is in God, the Lord will lead him. Now he may not have 3 or 4 cars,
Right.
but God will help you find your gift. He will show you where you need to go, and maybe you can prosper from that.
Absolutely.
But you have to be open to listen to him.
And it's so interesting that you said that, because I know that the perspective of who you're comparing yourself to, I've even shared that on Instagram, where it's like we have to stop comparing ourselves to other people on various platforms, be that it's social media or the person who lives 4 blocks away from you. Is what is the gift and the talent? What have you been purposed to do? And start there as to comparing yourself with someone else. We don't know what other people have gone through.
True,
we don't know
exactly.
how long they have been on the grind to make that particular thing happen. So I have to agree with you on that. Well, it is time for us to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will continue this great conversation. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Daily Spark TV. Well, Irwin, I have the next question for you, and that is, Black men have and continue to graduate from college, but yet we don't always get that information to the general population that, yes, there are attorneys and doctors, nurses, entrepreneurs, and the like. Does education play a part in how one feels about self?
First, let me touch on something you just got through saying. We get more stats about how many men are in prison than we do who's graduated. The other thing is, yes, it does make a difference, because a lot of people, when they come from their neighborhoods, they go to college with a specific reason. They want to give something back. They don't go just to get money or just to get prestige or just to say, I graduated from college.
Right.
They actually want to do something. I think a lot of them lived an adverse lifestyle at one point, and then I thinking that, at one point they said, you know what? This is not me. I don't want to do this. I'm seeing my friends go to prison. I'm seeing my friends killed. That's not the life I want. So they plan accordingly, they go to college, they use discipline, they reach their goal, you know.
And it's so interesting that you say that because I think about a particular show that I watch, and there are 3 African American veterinarians, and they have a very similar story. Hey, we grew up together, we went to college together, we kind of made this pact that we are going to become veterinarians because we have a love for this field and we want to give back. And the TV show was just an added bonus, but they lived out what they believed was a calling for their lives. And I love how they're able to just be themselves. But for so many people to open people's eyes to either veterinary medicine or to the fact that we have some younger men who are being productive, and it's awesome just to see them live their lives out on TV. Now, when we are trying to live a mindful life, or we're trying to be a great citizen that contributes to society, what are some things that you believe that we need to start teaching our little people about being the best that they can be?
Young people need to be taught life skills, coping skills. Many people, young and old, at some point in their life feel rejected.
Yeah.
Maybe if they can get taught about the lesson that we learned about in Joseph, where he was rejected by his family. Lots of people live that life. And these are the type of things that people need to be taught, young people. Anti-bullying skills, or people, how to cope when people bully you. The devil strikes early in life. He sows the seeds of trauma very early. He attacks through kids. He can use kids to attack. So if kids can be taught the spiritual realm in some sort of fashion, now they may not understand it at that age, but at some point, if they could be taught where the real enemy is coming from, they may learn to not to take things personally, because that can stunt a child's development. If they feel like they're being rejected, if they feel like they're being harassed or bullied.
Yeah.
So life skills as early as possible, even probably before the history of the country. And what I mean by history of the country, that's important, but at the same time, there's certain things you can teach at home.
Yes.
Certain history, but when it comes to life skills, they don't teach that in the schools. The parents, the mentor, life skills from day one, as soon as they're able to understand.
And you know, in listening to you say that, I think about how so many times we hear the phrase, and it becomes cliche that, you know, children watch what you do. They don't always necessarily listen to what you say. In that, as a parent or as just a friend or a family member, that as adults, if we live our best, and I mean trying to do those things that we think are good, and that we're courteous to others, or that we're kind to others, that we're living out our faith, that if we do that in a more resounding fashion, that our young people will be able to look at that and say, I want to be like Uncle Irwin. I want to be like the neighbor down the street because he's a really cool guy. And to be able to emulate not just some of the negative things that they see on TV. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Now, when it comes to spiritual development and men, many times when we're looking at stats for church life, we hear that it's women.
Yes.
Women tend to go more, women tend to be more involved. Not knocking men, but that tends to be a truth. How should we make sure that our men have an opportunity to be more involved in faith-based activities, so that not only are they able to be fed, but they're an example for the next generation to kind of be that sounding board, so that it's an example for them?
I think that goes back to what you said as far as watching people. It's true, a lot of men do not go to church, they don't attend, but if they see some kind of spiritual awareness in a man, whether he's going to church or not. He can learn some things. He can be encouraged to go to church. Now, if you try to, I don't know, attempt to urge men or put too much pressure, they probably are not going to go.
Right.
But if you can do something, I don't care if it's picking up a piece of paper in your neighborhood, that can inspire a person, you know. Or you could see someone, I don't know, maybe if somebody has a fall,
Yeah.
go assist them.
Yeah.
When people are seeing things like that, I think it just softens their heart. Because right now, there are too many black men, I believe, and like you said earlier, probably men in general, who are hard-hearted. Empathy is a very good teacher, you know, but it has to start from someplace. Let people see you do things. Just let you say certain things. Have a kind word, good morning.
Yeah.
Those types of things.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't take much.
It really doesn't. It really and truly doesn't. And I know that that's something that I've tried to instill in my children. You never know what's going on in
True.
someone else's world.
Exactly.
And you don't know if your smile, your, like you said, good morning, or your, you know, hey, how you doing, whatever, could be the difference between that person involved in some road rage
Yes. Oh, yeah.
or not. Or, you know, just being able to step back and say, this moment isn't going to be forever.
True.
It is just a moment.
Just a moment.
And how do we live through that? I love that. Well, it is time for us to take a break, but don't worry, we will be back right after this.
Hello, my name is Irwin Brown. I am the author of this book, From Prayers to Players, The Despiritualization of the Black Man in America. This book was written with theology as its theme. It is not the gospel according to me, but it's designed to give us a different look on ourselves, to understand that God validates our manhood and that we are not validated through circumstances or outside stimulus. We have everything we need to be men. God made sure we were equipped with it. This book can be found on Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, and Christian Faith Publishing.
Welcome back to Daily Spark TV. Irwin, I have this question for you. Being a part of community is important. I know that I grew up in a very civic-minded family. We understood that we were blessed with so much that means that we are to give back. We are to make a stance and be an example, if you will. When it comes to inclusion in community, how important is that from the male perspective? Let's drill down a little bit more. As a black male, how important is it to be involved in community?
People are constantly looking for mentors. You know, there are so many black men and boys who grew up without their dad. Everybody needs a guide. You know, they need something that a light to say this is the way to go.
Yeah.
I think when people find that person, you know, if the mentor is positive enough, they'll have somebody to listen to them. They'll have a protege.
Yeah.
But if you are, you know, you're in your community, if you are walking past people who need something, you know, because everybody's looking for something. Everybody needs a guide. You include people in your neighborhood. You go through your neighborhood. Like I said, good morning. How are you? We're having a picnic down over here at the so-and-so Civic Center or so-and-so park. You're part of the community.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't look at people and say, okay, you know what, I don't like that guy over there. We're not going to invite that family over there. We're not going to invite this family here. Invite everybody, you know, because there has to be an inclusion for, I don't know, spiritual awareness. God made us all, we are not psychologically connected, but we're spiritually connected. So, yeah, we have to have that. You know, you have to be, no one wants to be left out. You know, no one wants to be ostracized.
Absolutely.
You know? And again, you know, there's people that are, that's part of the frustration. You know, I don't fit, I don't belong. People don't think I'm this enough, or they don't think I'm that enough. I don't make enough money, or, you know, or worst case scenario, I'm not black enough, so they don't want me around. You know, so.
And that's going to be my next question for you. What happens when you realize that in spite of your efforts, community still says you're not enough? What happens? How does that feel?
You know, sometimes that's God. Because he will isolate you from people once he chooses you. People will use different excuses. They'll use different, they might say you don't make enough money, they might say you're not black enough, but a lot of times he's separating you. So if you feel rejected, don't take it personally.
Right.
It's not always personal. He separates his people. He sets you apart so he can use you.
Absolutely.
If he isolates you, you're more prone to listen to him.
Yeah.
So the first thing should not be, nobody likes me. Now, if you are living in the spirit, you're not going to have a lot of friends, period. I mean, yeah, that's, that goes with the territory. But if you feel like you're doing the best you can, you haven't thrown any rocks at anybody's car, you know you have been a pretty decent person, and that happens, look for God, because he's somewhere in there.
And I like how you said that in that falling away of the other things, that's the distraction.
Yes.
That God will be found in that quiet place. And it is so true that in our culture today, everything is so fast-paced, everything is so immediate, everything is so loud,
Yes.
if you will, that we forget that we can still find God in those quiet places,
Yes.
and that it shouldn't be optional.
No.
It should be mandatory
Yes.
that we have that quiet time and to be able to still our minds. I know that that's something that I suggest when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or I can't seem to find my center or what's next for me. And it's how much time are you spending
Yes.
with God to
Exactly.
hear your direction? Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. I'm sure there's someone who's watching going, yeah, I think that's me, because something's going on here, and that makes more sense. Now, as far as women are concerned, we want to be helpful. We want to support our man, regardless of our ethnicity. But you want to be there. But I think that in all of our nationalities, we understand that our men, whatever nationality you are or ethnicity, your men go through a certain something.
Exactly.
So for women, how can we be supportive of our men to let them know that we're there? We may not fully understand, but we're there.
You said it, encouragement. That's what men need. Men need respect. That's a inherent spiritual need, and encouragement. And the woman in his life goes a long ways, because when she says you can do it, there's nothing a man can't do. Now, of course, God is going to be the biggest motivator.
Of course.
But if he has a woman in his life that says, I know you can do it, oh yeah. Yeah, there's nothing he can't do. He'll feel like he can do anything, from the woman he loves.
And that's encouraging.
Oh, yeah.
As a woman, hearing you say that's encouraging. And you made a very great point there. Scripture does remind us that wives love your husbands. Husbands love your wives, and wives respect your husbands.
Yes.
And it's very plain.
Yes, it is.
There, it's very plain. And I think that for so many of us, we've forgotten what we're supposed to do. And in our physical, we try to give, not remembering that it is our spiritual self that needs to be able to give as well. I like that. Thank you for reminding us of that. Now, last question for you. We now know what the women need to do. From the male perspective, what can another man do to assist his fellow brother in Christ?
I think that goes back to encouragement also. Encourage your brother to do the right thing. What we're getting a lot of times these days is if you have a young man or a man that's beefing or having a situation with somebody else, we have too many people that are saying, you know what, you need to go harm this person.
Oh, yeah.
We need to have people that say, let that go. You betray anybody you give a gun to go harm. If that's your friend, you don't want to see him in jail, you don't want to see him going to prison. Encourage him to do the right thing. Encourage him to get rid of his anger. It's not worth it. Life is too short.
Absolutely.
And we were not put here to lose our life over nonsense at 15, at 20, 25. So encourage your brother in Christ. Encourage him to go to church. One person goes to church, maybe his friend does not. Encourage him, take him to church. The other thing is pray together.
Absolutely.
You know, talk to God together. I don't care if it's good morning, Lord, and go on about your day. Say something, because that's your pipeline.
Yeah.
That's your you know, that's where you get your energy from. God will guide you. You know, but when you're going through your life, you have a lot of distractions, and you're listening to the wrong people. He can't talk to you like that. He wants us to get along sometimes, get to ourselves. 5 minutes a day of meditation helps.
Yeah.
Just being alone. No music, no sports, no entertainment, not a bunch of your buddies around, anything like that. Just get quiet.
And is it okay to, in that quiet time, does it have to be this beautiful room, or can it be as simple as get in your car
Yes.
and just be still?
Simple. Just quietness. I don't care where it's at. Yeah, just be quiet. Get in your car, and you'd be surprised what you can hear.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't want to hear it from God because they think they're going to be condemned. And that's not what the Lord is trying to do. He's trying to help you. And sometimes he has to say something to you that may hurt you, but it's there to help you. So he doesn't hurt people just to hurt them.
Right.
No, that's not what the Lord does. He loves us all. Every day, he tells us how he feels about us. When we're listening to the wrong information, we can't hear him. So we have to listen to him. Drown out the distractions. You know.
I love it. And I think today, if nothing else, we have definitely learned that there are distractions in our lives.
Yes.
And if we take it to the Lord, then he can definitely help us with those distractions.
Yes.
Irwin, thank you so much for being on the
Thank
show
you for
today.
having me on. I appreciate it.
And viewers, thank you for tuning in to Daily Spark TV. I hope that I have inspired, enlightened, and empowered you to be your best. Until next time, everyone, be blessed in the Lord.